Hi, thanks for joining us today. I'm Gary Cohen, Senior Editor of Industrial Cybersecurity Pulse, a brand new site that provides critical information and solutions to cybersecurity professionals working in industrial environments. Joining us again today is John Livingston, CEO of Verve Industrial Protection. John, welcome, and thanks for being back with us today.
It's great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
So how has the evolution of industrial cybersecurity vulnerabilities changed your company's product design, development, service, and support offerings?
Well, the changes in the vulnerability landscape in OT has changed our product design and our approach in many different ways, frankly. So maybe we should just begin with what is that change? The change has a couple of different dimensions. The first is just the growth. Right, so we just released our annual review of the vulnerabilities of ICS vulnerabilities from 2020, and that number is growing by the total number of vulnerabilities is growing by almost 50% year over year, and that means that we have a significant more risk in these environments. Not to mention, when we dived into those vulnerabilities, what we discovered was that those risks are increasing in criticality, meaning there are more and more high criticality risks on those embedded devices in these ICS environments. So that just the overall growth and risk drives us to think differently about how we think about the product that we've developed. The second thing that has emerged in these vulnerabilities, or maybe not has emerged, but is becoming clearer and clearer every day, is that while we talk a lot about ICS advisories coming out of ICS certain places like that, we realize that in many of these OT environments, they are quote unquote insecure by design. I think the old SMAR water facility is a great example of this, where the attacker wasn't really taking advantage of an ICS cert-oriented vulnerability. They took advantage of the fact that the network was not basically designed securely, that you had TeamViewer within the environment, that you could remote access into that TeamViewer and make changes. And so as we think about securing these environments, it's not just about when we think about quote unquote vulnerabilities that might have a CVE or a CVSS score in a database someplace, but it's the fundamental design of those systems. So, okay, how do those change what we do from a product point of view? Number one is we have built a way of identifying and scoring the risks on an asset that is a holistic, what we call a 360-degree view of risk. So what we mean by that is it takes into account certainly all of the known vulnerabilities on that asset, things that have been published by ICS CERT and others. But it also includes looking at this insecure by design set of risks. So A, do you have remote access to that device? What are all the pieces of software on that device? So TeamViewer itself may not have a vulnerability, but just the fact that TeamViewer is on the device, we can tell you that. Number three, users and accounts. Do you have users that are dormant, accounts that are dormant? Do you have passwords that are not meeting certain standards, haven't been changed in a certain amount of days, are shared? You can think of all the things that you would create risk in that environment. In any event, the numbers are endless of the types of things that we can look at in a product, and we can therefore create a 360-degree risk score. What we mean is a holistic asset score that tells you about that particular asset and where the risks are on that asset. That is fundamental to addressing, in our view, to addressing these risks that are growing in number of vulnerabilities, but also recognizing the insecure by design features of these networks. So that's one key evolution, I guess, of our product that we've used to really address these OT security issues.
And you mentioned that the incredible increase in the risks and vulnerabilities that are out there. I'm assuming the arc of history is pointing toward more risks and vulnerabilities. So how difficult is that for a company who's in the business of trying to secure them to keep up with that ever increasing threat that's out there?
It's incredible. It's difficult for us, but it's really difficult for our clients. So we built Verve on some of the latest technologies that are available out there to absorb this data that's coming in. So, our clients have, tens and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of assets, each with, frankly, hundreds of potential vulnerabilities on those assets. And so having visibility into that is critical, and having a database that can support that kind of scale of data is critical. And so as those vulnerabilities grow, we have to have a timely reaction to that. So our database is updated every 15 minutes, so that we know the latest threats that are in your environment and the latest threats that are coming, that are known from the outside. What I'd say, though, is that challenge of the growth in the vulnerabilities is most present to our clients themselves, meaning they're the ones who at the end of the day have to deal with those vulnerabilities and have to patch them or find a compensating control for them, et cetera. And so I'm just going to talk back about the product for a second. What we've done, which is truly innovative, I don't believe anyone else in the industry does this. We have linked the identification of these risks, whether those be a software vulnerability that's known in the National Vulnerability Database, or these other insecure by design risks like user risks. Anyway, we've identified those, or we've linked those identification parts with an action platform. So not only can we tell you you have a risk, but from our platform, we can automate the remediation of that risk. We can allow operators to patch things, harden configs, remove users, close ports, et cetera, right from the platform. That is key to being able to allow our clients to deal with the massive risks that are out there and all of these vulnerabilities, because they're not having to get a report over here and then go and find some other tool, or frankly, multiple other tools to then go in and fix it, right? We bring those two pieces together, which drives an incredible amount of efficiency. And frankly, we think it's really the only way to keep up with those growing risks.
Fantastic. John, thanks so much for sharing your insight with us today.
It's great to be here. Thanks so much to you.
If you're looking for more great industrial cybersecurity information, please stop by industrialcybersecuritypulse.com and continue to check back for more installations in our CEO interview series. Thanks for watching.